Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to AZ Garage, where we're working with the YS1 Acura Integra Transmission manual. And basically what we're doing is we got a transmission from a junkyard and we need to check to make sure that it's okay. And we're not going to put it in and it's going to be bad. So this video is basically about how to sort of service your transmission and how to take one apart and just check and make sure it's okay. First step here is going to be to remove these two bolts in the side of the casing. They have tiny balls and springs in them. Do not lose those. Keep those somewhere safe. And right on the other side here, there is a bolt that is attached to the reverse gear shaft. And you need to remove that as well. And also keep that one safe. Do not lose that at all. Very important. To remove the case, you need to spread that snap ring and then tap on the side of the case and pull up. It helps if you have a buddy there to pull up while you're spreading that snap ring, and it should pop right up.
Supposed to be there. No.
Just to make it look more sporty, you know.
That's what that's what happens when you get your tranny from a junkyard. It's cheaper, but you never know. Like you never know what's gonna happen. Yeah. So luckily I have the other one, and hopefully the other one will swap right in. No
and
problem.
You looked at it and you were like, yeah, skeptical.
And upon initial inspection, the only thing that I found wrong really was the bent shift shaft here on the outs, which was actually poking outside of the transmission. So I'm going to cover that first, how to swap that over, because I do happen to have a spare, luckily. First, you need to take this assembly at the back off. There are three 10mm fasteners. Just keep in mind that one of them is slightly different than the other. I think two of them are sleeved and one of them does not have a sleeve on it. So just pay attention to that, where they're coming from. That whole assembly comes out. It takes a little bit of wiggling and finagling, but it does come out. And then after that, you can work on getting that actual shift arm out, and there are two 12mm fasteners that you need to undo to get that whole shift rod out. There's one at the back there with that sort of pivoting bracket. That's a 12mm. You need to get that out. And then this brass colored one here, be very careful with that one because it has a spring and a ball in it. It's for basically locking the shift shaft in position. So that's a very crucial part. You cannot lose that ball. You cannot lose the spring. Absolutely need to keep all of that stuff. But once you take that off, then that whole shaft should come out and you can simply reinstall the new one. Just maybe put a little bit of Honda MTF oil on the new one as you're installing it.
Some fun, like messing around like that.
Yeah, and me and my friends that we built that was like, dude, that was our one shot to being cool. We were always joking about that. And,
here's where we need to put that the ball with the spring and with this special fastener in. So that spring holds the ball down on that shaft, and that's what kind of keeps it in place.
And being that we have the shift shaft sort of sorted out, I'm just putting it back together here. The other thing you want to check is just for wear on all of the gears. Check if there's any broken gears. You will notice that reverse gear will have a little bit of wear on it, and that's because it doesn't have a synchronizer. It does sort of grind and wear out. And then you need to check the bearings. Spin all of the bearings, and they should not have any sort of metal on metal sound to them. They should spin sort of smoothly. Not super fast, like a skateboard wheel. It shouldn't spin like that, but it should be pretty smooth. This is the magnet
that was in the bottom of the transmission. There's a tiny bit of metal on this magnet, but you know what? You have gears grinded together. I think it's normal to have some amount of material come off. And considering there's no big chunks, there's just all this really fine dust. You know, I think that's fairly normal. Wouldn't you say, Z? A tiny bit of shavings on the magnet in the bottom of the transmission. Normal? Yeah. You heard it here. Normal.
And right here, I'm going to show you how to align the top of the gears to fit back into the case. Now, there is this ring here with this tab. That tab needs to fit into a groove at the top of the case. And to align it, there is a notch here on the back of that ring, and you need to align that notch. with that mark right there on the shift fork. Pretty simple. Just line up the notch with the mark on the fork, and then your case will slide on, and that tab fits right there in that groove. And that's how you will slide the case back on. And speaking of sliding the case back on, it's something you're going to need to be nice and patient with, because there are several grooves for shafts to slide into. You can see right there. Those shafts will need to all slide in together. And here you can kind of see, this is our technique for sliding it back on. Wiggle it and tap it until it mostly sits down. So now it is mostly sat down. And I want to refer you again to Jonathan Jovenal's video, because he actually covers how to do this with a little bit of a better angle and better lighting and such. But basically, I'm taking his exact technique and applying it here. So what you do is you get it so that there's maybe 1/8 of a gap between the cases, right? And then what I'm doing here is I'm spreading the snap ring and trying to get the snap ring sort of started on the bearing. You need to get it so that it's spread and it's like coming on top of the bearing. And then what you can do from there is you could pop that bearing, that whole shaft up with a screwdriver. So as soon as that snap ring's starting to go over it, you pop that whole shaft up and it will perfectly click into place. That snap ring will click right into the groove of the bearing. And if it does that, then you know that you have it aligned properly. You can start to run down your 4 fasteners, put 4 fasteners in evenly around the case, and just barely snug those down. Like, do not tighten those fully down, just kind of get them a little bit snug. And then at this point, what you're going to want to do after this, you have it all together, is check that your input shaft is spinning and go through all of the gears. And that's what I'm doing here. And again, I got this information from Jonathan Jovenal's video on how to run through all the gears. You can see that I'm pointing at, that's the differential. And my right hand is spinning the input shaft. And the differential will spin at different speeds depending on what gear you're in. See how it's spinning very slowly there? I believe that is first gear. And to cycle through the gears, you put your screwdriver in the shift shaft, and then you can turn it left or right, and that's kind of like pulling the gear shifter either left toward first and second, or middle, third and fourth, or right, fifth and reverse, right? So you just spin the shaft, and that's what that does essentially. So you need to run through all the gears. So you turn it left, push it in, spin it, turn it left, pull it all the way out, spin it, put it in the center, go forward and back, spin it then, make sure everything is spinning properly. And you need to check neutral as well. And neutral is a little bit tricky. So I believe that this is neutral right here, and I see that the differential is still spinning, which is normal. That will spin. It will only not spin when there is like resistance put against it. You need to have resistance against it for it to not spin. And so that's what I'm going to do here in a second, because I'm quite sure that it's in neutral. And so here I'm putting a screwdriver against it and having Lewis spin the shaft, and you can see the shaft is spinning and the differential is trying to spin, but I can hold it. So that is neutral, and neutral is working properly. And then what I'm going to do here is try to get it in reverse. And reverse is a little bit tricky to get it in because there's no synchronizer. So we're going to try to get it in reverse here. Let's see what I do here. Screwdriver in, turn it right, push it in, see what happens. Pull it out. Oh, so it feels like that's neutral. Oh, no, I think that's spinning reverse. That's reverse now. Right, so that now is basically it. That is your final check to make sure everything is working properly. And then once you can run through all of the gears like that with the transmission off, okay, then you can really seal the case up. So what I did was I took the case off. Again, I cleaned both of the mating surfaces and I applied silicone all the way around. And then once you do that, you essentially put it all back together, make sure that the shaft is spinning freely once again, And that should be your final check. And then you can run down the rest of the fasteners around the case. They're all 12 millimeters. But anyways, that essentially covers the video. It's not an in-depth rebuild video or a tutorial or anything. If anything, it just shows you that sort of a backyard mechanic can fix a transmission and make sure it's working properly. And you can put it back in. And, you know, they're not super complicated. Don't be scared. Don't be scared of manual transmissions. They're pretty simple, really. They really are. So, you know, if you're interested in this stuff and you want to get into it, go for it. And thus basically concludes what I have to show and say here today. This transmission is now in the car and it is running and driving as it should. Perfectly fine. In the description, I will leave some more information on like what fluid to use and other information that might be pertinent to you if you're doing a transmission repair or transmission service. I will also link Jonathan Jovenal's video in the description as well, because I found that video super handy, and he goes into a bit more detail there in that video. So good day, good night to all you. Thanks for watching, and there's going to be more 22RE Toyota videos coming out very soon because I have a lot of content with that, and I still have quite a lot of work to do with that project. So thank you for watching, everybody. This is Adam from AZ Garage signing off.